2023. It's César Cantú here once again, Chief Editor at Nearshore Americas. I'm joined today by Santiago Fontanarrosa, VP of Technology at Globant Sustainable Business Studios. So, Santiago, how are you doing? How's everything?
Thank you, César, for the time. I'm doing great. Starting the year, so happy New Year for everyone.
Okay, excellent. So, Santiago, let's begin with an obvious question, at least for me. So what is Globant's Sustainable Business Studio? What is it that you guys do?
That's a good one. I mean, Globant is organized internally in studios, which are areas of expertise, right? So in particular, the Sustainable Studio, which is have been in here for almost 2 years so far, was created to address the urgent need to tackle sustainability from the technology point of view. So, as you know, Globant is a technology company, so we want to apply all our knowledge and expertise to the sustainability issue at hand.
Okay, let's try to be more specific. How is this expertise applied? Do you guys develop new technologies, new processes?
That we try to apply, for example, machine learning, design, algorithms to solve specific problems. Let's say, for example, we want to track deforestation, right, on the Amazonian. We can use machine learning techniques to analyze satellite images and track deforestation. That's one way to apply that, for example. Another one, we can use data, right? Massive amount of data, big data, right? To be able to predict, for example, on the forest, fires, and be predictive and avoid that kind of damage. The Sustainable Studio try to approach a problem not only with technology but with sustainability in mind.
Okay, that makes it quite clear now. So, are these tech solutions applied only to industries such as manufacturing, as energy, or are these sort of solutions also applied to tech companies, to companies that provide not only technology, thinking of the actual piece of machinery, but of software? Is there such a thing as green software? I guess that would be my question.
Yeah, nowadays, not only about, nowadays everyone since the pandemic has accelerated the transformation, the digital transformation. Every company, every user in the world either produce or consume software or digital services. So every software or digital product that we use or consume pollutes the environment, produce CO2. And it may be not obvious at the beginning, and we can go deeper on that later, but what is important to understand is that green software is now a way or new paradigm to think about that. Because if you look to a factory, you will see like smoke going there, right? Or you go, an oil company, right? The bad guys nowadays. But what about when I'm looking at Netflix in my home, right? Or doing some streaming? That also have an impact. And it's not that we are not saying that we don't need to do video calls anymore, but it's more about how we can do it in a way that is more efficient and pollute less. So if we talk about green software, we actually is a new term that has been around for almost 6 to 7 years. We are thinking about which is the impact of that product that we generate, services or products, the software itself that is produced. Not about, let's say, the hardware that is running on that, but how it's run, how the product run on that.
So how are companies reacting to this ideas of green software and sustainable business? I mean, sustainability has been a thing in business for a while, but with ESG and other sorts of paradigms becoming stronger, growing stronger in business and in global investment, one would think companies are following through, but I've read reports and surveys on the matter, and apparently CEOs and investors are willing to go green, let's say, as long as it doesn't affect their bottom line significantly. And significantly can be something as small as
Yeah.
as, as a decrease of 1% in their profits. So my question to you is: are companies actually going all the way, or are they being at least a bit reluctant as when it comes to their financials?
We can say that it's a new area exploring, but there's a silver lining, at least for the green software part. In terms of bottom line, when we talk about making software greener, we are talking about making more efficient. And if we make it more efficient, we are also saving resources, economic resources as well. Let's go back to the cloud as an example. Cloud providers, we pay by month, by year, right? That's an expense that we have. If we can make our software running on that cloud more efficient, and we can reduce the amount of resources that we need by that provider, we are increasing our bottom line. At the same time, we are making a huge contribution to the sustainability arena. So I don't see a conflict in there, and I see your point. So there's a lot of greenwashing being around, especially the last couple of years. But specifically for software, I see that it's a win-win for the environment and for, let's say, the company itself.
In your experience, are companies, are they sold easily on the concept of green software? Again, the way you put it is, okay, makes sense because you're not only being sustainable, but it also helps your bottom line. But I do wonder if CEOs and CFOs or investors in general, board members are just a bit skeptical, at least at the beginning. Maybe once the solutions are implemented, they see the results, but at least at the beginning, are they sold easily on it?
Yeah, they're starting to see the benefits and the needs. And the reason for that, there are big players that are already jumping into this arena. Recently, in 2021, the Green Software Foundation was created. We are part of that Green Software Foundation, and there are big players like Microsoft, like GitHub. Recently, also VMware have joined that. When you see that kind of player being on that arena and talking about this, people start to paying attention. And yeah, it's been slowly. It hasn't been so, let's say, eager to jump into this problem, especially by this. There's no regulation yet that penalize this kind of stuff. Right? So I bring into the table a problem, also a solution, but a problem that you don't want to have at the moment. So that's a big concern right now for adoptions. So they see, yeah, it makes sense, I understand, I see the importance of that, I see the benefit of that, but you know what, nowadays I have more promising problems, like especially with the recession, they're saying like, I need to address this first to my shareholders, and then I can jump into sustainability. But I can say that there's a pressing momentum that is continuing to grow and grow, especially from the investments funds that are demanding that sustainability is part of the core business. So we can say that even though the adoption is slow, I see that it's gaining a momentum and it's going to continue in that trajectory.
You mentioned big players are jumping into the bandwagon. I was wondering if this movement has been well received in Latin America specifically, because as you mentioned, there's concerns over the economy, over inflation, labor costs, and Latin America is, as a region, is particularly exposed to those sorts of risks. So again, I wonder if green software is taking hold in Latin America at a slower pace, at a similar pace, or maybe even faster. What have you seen?
I would say it's not going as fast as we like, but it has been well received. Especially we have been last year. We have Globant have a strong presence in Latin America, so we have access to many clients at many different countries, and we have been able to introduce these notions and some ideas. I will say that it was well received as the innovation aspect and what is coming, but when we talk about the next step, there's some reluctance around that. The first question that comes to my mind is, who else is doing this? And the second they ask is, what happens if I don't do this? Aside from the general public perspective, like I being perceived as a not good company, a good company, aside from that, general, that we all know, regarding to sustainability, specifically to green software, they say, okay, yeah, makes sense, let me talk about it, let me move around this, but yet it's not, it's like everyone is testing the waters, to be honest.
Okay.
At least at the moment.
Well, that makes sense. So they're waiting for stronger incentives from both from the market and from what you mentioned, from government regulation.
Yeah, it's either regulations or either the market, or in some cases, many of these companies their headquarters are in Europe or on the States, the United States. So there's a global policy that need to be implemented, right? So they are faced with this situation that say, I have this mandate that I need to reduce my emissions across company, right? And we talk with the CIO or the IT manager and say, you know what, I don't know how to take this concept and apply to my area of expertise. Because it makes sense, maybe you are not, I don't know, in the office manager and you say, we are going to reduce our spend of paper, say something, but I am a team manager. How do I can implement or complete this KPI, a new KPI? So that's a window of opportunity for us to start introducing these notions.
Santiago, one final question. So I guess this is a hard thing to predict, but when do you see, if it happens, when do you see sustainable business and particularly green software taking hold as something that becomes, let's call it a new normal, as a common practice?
A common practice, yeah. It's hard to say, but I will say my guess, and based on what we have been discussing with other colleagues on the Green Software Foundation specifically, we see that 2024 be like the year that green software will be like a de facto standard to be implemented. And I always compare, like nowadays, when we talk about security, no one questions that the software or digital service need to have security in mind, right? You don't need to be a security expert, but at least you know the basics around that. I believe that 2024 will be that, because 2022 was like ground zero. All the tools and policies and best practices were put in place. 2023 is the year that awareness is going to be generated, and training. Globant have released a training, the Green Software Foundation have released trainings around this, a lot of talking and movement, especially about the software community. And I will say, I guess that 2024, 2025 will be like, we cannot ship any digital product or service without sustainability in mind.